Want to go right to Congressman Dr. Ronny Jackson from Texas. Congressman, how are you, sir?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Really good to talk to you. So what are your credentials, sir, that you have any authority whatsoever to speak to the health of a president of the United States?
Well, as long as you ask, I was at the White House for 14 years. I was the director of the White House Medical Unit, and I was a physician for President Bush, Obama, and Trump. So pretty much that's what I spent most of my career doing was presidential health.
So you're the most credentialed person there could possibly be in the country to speak on this issue, which is unbelievable. Listen, we got news to get to, but how do you get that gig?
Well, I was in Iraq. I was in charge of a surgical shock trauma platoon between Fallujah and Ramadi, and they had 6 physicians at the White House, 2 Army, 2 Navy, 2 Air Force. They were all family practice or internal medicine at the time. They decided they needed an emergency medicine physician. I was an ER doc. They reached out to me while I was in Iraq, and I ended up interviewing for the job, and I got the job, and the rest is history.
Unbelievable. Okay, sorry. I would love to chat another day about all that because that is crazy. But what did you witness last night out of our current president of the United States?
Well, it was sad. And it's scary for our country. We've been saying this for a long time. I have been saying this since before he actually became elected president, that this man is not cognitively fit to be our president. I said that it would continue to get worse. It has. Everyone has continued to see it on a regular basis. They keep him hidden most of the time. But, we all know this is happening. What we saw yesterday was validation from a completely different source. We saw Vice President Biden's own DOJ, right, his own DOJ, make these comments that he's not cognitively fit to stand trial for the crimes that he committed with these classified documents, which is unbelievable that, they're saying that he's not cognitively fit to stand trial, yet he's our commander-in-chief, our head of state. If he can't stand trial because of his cognitive issues, it goes without saying that he can't be the president of the United States. And so then he gets on TV and he tries to refute this, and he makes it even worse. All he does is validate what they said in the report and what we've all known for years now. And so we're in a bad situation. We're in a situation where even the few people that didn't want to admit that they've lost confidence in this man have lost confidence in him. We're in a situation where our adversaries overseas are looking at what's happening, and they are just licking their chops that we don't have a competent commander-in-chief. And our allies are terrified that we're supposed to be, their main ally supporting them, in endeavors all over the world. So this is a bad situation.
What are and I know there's people listening now who have lived through this with family members, and it's horrible to witness and be a part of, and it's very sad. But what are the signs of dementia or an early onset Alzheimer's that you've seen out of the current president? Again, with your authority as a former White House doctor for 3 presidents. Well,
it's the same thing everybody else is saying, and you make a good point, Mike, is that you don't even really have to be a physician to pick up on this and to diagnose this to some extent. I'm not making a diagnosis, but, just in layman's terms, because everyone has experienced this with a family member. But it's the same thing you see. It's the slurring with you speak. It's the slurring of speech. It's the kind of the dead stare, the shuffle walk, the stiff gait, the forgetfulness, the confusion, all of these things, some physical signs, some mental. But they're all there. He has the whole package, right? It's not like we're picking up on one little thing that's happening. He's got the whole set of signs and symptoms, and he's had them for quite some time. And I told people before, it only gets worse. I'm not giving him a diagnosis. Like I said, I don't know if he has multi-infarct dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or what the issue is. All I know is that he has serious cognitive decline related to his age. And it doesn't matter what the actual diagnosis is. All of those have the same natural history. They all get worse with time, not better. And we're seeing that before our eyes.
Let me ask you one more medical question, and then I'll ask you to put your congressman hat on. Is it inappropriate for a medical doctor such as yourself, sir, to speak on a person who you have not analyzed personally? Because you will be attacked for this, just like Robert Hur the special counsel will be attacked for daring to say such things. So will you. It's not appropriate for you to speak like this, sir.
Oh, no. I mean, everybody knows, like I said, I'm not giving him a diagnosis. I am relaying to you what we all see on TV. I've not examined him. He's not my patient. He wasn't my patient when I was in the White House. I've said this before. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what medications they're giving him. I don't know what kind of cognitive test he may or may not have had that we don't know about. I am not making a diagnosis. I am simply speaking as a physician with, decades of experience in taking care of presidents of the United States. I'm saying that this is what I see, right? And it's, it's obvious to everyone. So there's not too many people questioning me, to be honest with you.
No, I guess that's right. There's been this talk, and I think it's been half joking. We actually yesterday randomly played a clip of Theo Vaughn and Tim Dillon joking about and having a good laugh about what they must be injecting the president with in order to get him up to the podium, and like this concoction, and they're having a good time with it. Like Tim Dillon was like, "Oh, remember that scene from E.T. when they have like the house all covered up? Like they must be injecting with such toxic chemicals just to get him out." Right? They're having a good time, but it's like, oh well, I don't know. Do you inject?
They're giving him something. I mean, I'm sure it's a cocktail of something. You can give medications that increase neurotransmitters, like Aricept and things like that affect acetylcholine in your brain, a key neurotransmitter that can help you with memory and stuff. You can give him like an amphetamine type drug, to make him more alert. You could give him Provigil to make him more alert. There's a lot of medications out there that you could get. And maybe even, like I said, give him as a cocktail that would perk him up and make him a little bit more alert and a little bit more cognitively intact for brief periods of time. But that's the challenge they have. They don't last very long, right? And these medications traditionally become less effective the longer you use them. So once again, they're in the same situation where they can keep him tucked away and they can hide him in the basement. They can roll him out at what they think is his best time of day, and medicate him, and hopefully hope that he can get up and read the teleprompter for a few minutes, and get him off before he answers before they start asking him questions, because that's where he has his biggest failures, when he tries to talk off the cuff. But they're going to have a much harder time going forward doing this, and I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Wow, so that medical cocktail is a real potential thing that you could, because I always thought about that. Like, listen, being a president is a young man's game. You travel I get jet lag when I go two time zones over. So this is like a hard job. You're going all around the world. There's got to be uppers and downers that you have to be taking.
Sure. I mean, we all do that. Function. Like when I was at the White House, we'd get on the plane and we'd fly for 16 hours to the other side of the planet, and no one slept on the plane except for maybe the president, because he had a bedroom, but no one else really got any sleep on the plane, including the military aide, the physician, the medical team, the Secret Service agents that are taking care of the president. Then we get off the plane and have to work a 14-hour shift. So you have to take some Ambien, you have to take some Provigil when the time is right. You have to modulate people's sleep cycles. It's called sleep hygiene. I was pretty much the world's expert on that because I did it so much. But yeah, you do that. But people don't. This is different. This is something completely different here. And people have cut him a lot of slack, especially on the left, for a long time now. But I think the left is starting to get to the point now where they're like, hey, we can't cover for this guy anymore. He's got legit issues.
Okay, let's put your congressman hat on now. Take your lab coat off, your doctor's coat off. Are you calling for the use of the 25th Amendment? Yeah,
I think we're at the point now where they should be thinking about that. And I'm thinking that, honestly, my opinion is that this is orchestrated by the left right now, what we're seeing. The fact that the Biden DOJ was allowed to put that language in the report tells me that they know at this point that he cannot function another 4 years as president. He'd probably be lucky to get to the end of this, but he won't. And they know they screwed themselves. They picked a horrible candidate, a candidate that's going to be trounced by Donald Trump. He's going to get just beat like a drum in the November election. They know this, and so they're in a scramble right now. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of him, and I think this is the first shot across the bow on getting rid of this man. And I think that there were people probably in the Dem Party that were okay with what happened yesterday because they think he needs to go. One of the ways that would happen would be the 25th Amendment. He could resign voluntarily. Jill Biden could do what she should have done a couple of years ago, is go talk to him and tell him, this is not working out, and maybe we just need to resign and, go back home to Delaware or whatever. She could have done that a long time ago. This is partly her issue, but, she wants to be first lady more, and she wants her next breath. So, but the 25th Amendment would be a way that we could do this, even if he didn't want to. So,
have you heard any rumblings in D.C. about how Democrats are viewing this and going to handle this moving forward?
Not really. I mean, we're not in session right now, and so we'll be back in session soon. And I'll start to hear from other Dems about what's going on. But right now, I'm in my district right now, so I haven't heard from any of the Dems. But I'm sure that there are some out there that are going to be willing to kind of say what they think, at least privately behind the scenes. That's kind of already been going on to some extent. I've already know some that have serious concerns about his cognitive ability and his ability to be president, but can't publicly say anything. I think that might change.
Yep. Okay. Well, the Democrats have a big Kamala problem.
That's the only reason I think he's still there. That was the biggest insurance policy anybody's ever got, is putting her in as a vice president.
I never thought of it that way. Everyone always thinks about it as, we put Kamala in because she's a black woman, and that'll help his electoral chances. But you're right. No, let's put her in there because everyone will know I got to keep this job because no way will they prefer that. That'd be a disaster. Have you really thought about the ramifications of the 25th Amendment, though? Because here's one problem with that, and this is maybe one of the attacks you'll get, is how dare you suggest that our president is unfit for office? Because if you don't get the votes necessary to kick him out of office, then you are telling our adversaries around the world how weak we are, and you're just making us weaker, and you're making things worse, Dr. Jackson. Thanks a lot. Why would you do such a thing, you traitor?
Well, I mean, I think that the world needs to know that we have a way to fix this. That we can correct this. And if they enact the 25th Amendment, if a majority of his cabinet and his vice president come to the Speaker pro tem and to the Speaker of the Senate pro tem and the Speaker of the House, and they tell them that this man's not cognitively fit, then he will get voted out with a 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate. So if they go down that path, it's a done deal. But as far as me saying it, I think people expect me to say it. I mean, obviously, I'm a Republican congressman from one of the most conservative districts out there. I care about our country. I care about our national security. And I have a background that affords me the unique insight into, how the process would work and what's going on. And so I'm going to keep speaking out.
I'd say you have insight. There's a doctor there currently. What are they doing?
Well, I know this guy really well. He worked for me for 8 years, and he is basically part of the Biden family. And it doesn't matter what happens; he's going to cover up anything that's going on. He's not to be trusted. So it's unfortunate, but he's not going to be the answer. He's not going to give us any insight. He's not been honest with us. He's done a couple of quote physicals where he's released a short written statement about how healthy Biden is. I had to do a full physical exam and then stand up before the press for over an hour and defend every single aspect of that physical exam from hostile reporters and hostile medical folks in the audience. And he hasn't been subjected to that because this is a Democrat president and this is Joe Biden. But we're not going to get any answers there.
All right. Well, listen, Trump ain't no spring chicken, Congressman.
No.
What do we need to know about his health?
Well, you don't need to know anything. You watch him. Biden's the one that's been saying for a long time, you want to know about my cognitive health, watch me. And we're watching him and we're terrified. You do the same thing with President Trump. Watch him. This man can walk up, completely unprompted and to a whole gaggle of reporters and stand there and answer questions for them for hours with no notes, no teleprompter, no, preparation whatsoever. And just be completely on topic and on target. It's not about how old you are. I've said this before. We all know people that are 100 years old that are sharp as a tack, and we know people that are in the early 60s that are already having cognitive issues. This is an issue with the cognitive stuff, and yes, it's age related. Because, you don't normally see this when you're 20 or something. But, it happens to some people when they're in their 60s. It happens to some people when they're 80s, and some people it never happens to. And Donald Trump is cognitively as sharp as he was the day he became president last time. And I know this. I've tested him cognitively. He did, he got a perfect score in his cognitive test, and anyone can talk to him. His memory is better than my memory. He's got an incredible memory, and you can just see there's just a world of difference between these two men. It's not even in the same league.
My last question for you, Congressman. When he walked off the podium and went behind the stage, whatever, like his staff was there, his people, his handlers. Mm-hmm. Who are these people? What do they think? There's no way they thought that went well. So, but like you've been around these people, you've been around the scenes of what happens after the cameras turn off. Like, what happened last night, and what is happening today?
The first thing they did is they shuffled him, they got him into the Oval Office, or got him, into his bedroom, or upstairs on the second floor of the residence as soon as possible. They got him away from his, they keep as few staff in the back as they can, so all the junior staff are just going to be told, to go back to their office or whatever. They don't want to, because I know enough to know, I didn't take care of him as a patient, but I was around him on a regular basis. And, and we know what's going on because we've heard the stories. I bet he came off of that stage, and I bet he was cussing mad, and nobody wanted to be around him after he came off that stage. He knew he screwed that up. And when he came off the stage, I'm sure that everybody just avoided him. They probably had Jill there telling him everything's going to be okay. Just trying to calm him down, trying to get him to go to bed or whatever, and and they'll have to deal with some of it this morning. But yeah, he didn't go sit down and have a brainstorming meeting about what comes next after that.
And there's people there who know the truth, who won't admit it or aren't. Congressman Dr. Ronny Jackson from Texas, former physician to W, Obama, and Trump. Sir, well done. Thank you for your time and your expertise, and you're going to be very important in the next 9 months here, that's for sure. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.